Hello, everybody. My name is JJ, and I am obviously the son of my mom. And I am going to be sharing my experience in US. Okay, so I'm also 15 years old. 3 years ago, I started investing in the stock market, and then just a year later, I was able to buy myself a ticket to the US because my mom was attending the MDRT. Since my Gramps was living in America, I wanted to visit my Gramps, who I haven't seen for 13 years. And so I bought myself a ticket to the US, and I spent 6 months in America with them. So I want to share with you my experience. This is Lolo Bob. When you first meet him, he may seem like the stereotypical grumpy old man you may see on TV. He may slouch or talk awkwardly, has a slurred speech so you may not understand him, and he just likes to sit down and watch TV all day. However, there's more to his good side than you think once you actually get to know him. He loves to play the piano, especially the classic jazz, and would play it almost every single day. It's like his passion because he was a musician in his early life. He loves to buy me stuff since I'm the only kid, or person for that matter, who would have the guts to live with him and Gramps for 6 months. And he likes to take me and Gramps many places in Wheeling, the local area in Illinois, and we would just travel all around the places, seeing the things and going here and there. And he loves me and Gramps so much, but just doesn't know how to put it into words since he, like I said, he's a grumpy old man. But I'm the only man since I was the only man there, he would tell me all the secrets to becoming a man, and he would share with me all his stories of when he and his dad owned the carpet business, when he started playing the piano, the Vietnam War, and so much more about the history. For me, in those 6 months in US, they were the best memories I spent over there. I grew to love Lolo Bob because of his funny jokes, his way through and about life, his knowledge about American politics and the world, and so much more. And so it came as a shock to me in this year when I heard that Lolo Bob was being hospitalized. Lolo Bob suffered a heart attack and 2 consecutive strokes. When I was talking to him, he seemed like he was in a lot of pain and that he was really ready to go to heaven. However, when me and Mom started talking to him, he started feeling a lot better. So me and Mom decided to drop all our activities for the next few months and just stay with Lolo Bob until he got better. When we got there, Lolo Bob was covered with all these tubes, these various kinds of medicines poking all over his body, and he was in such a sad state because over here he was so thin that the skin was hanging off, was clinging to his bones, even though only 2 years ago you would think that he was a really fat guy. But as it turns out, he was diagnosed with cancer of the pancreas. So we did this and did that. We stayed with him for a few hours, and when he was resting, we decided to go home. A week later, Lolo Bob was scheduled to go to a rehabilitation center where it was foreseen that he will recuperate for the next 6 months. And so we did. Lolo Bob even chose a rehabilitation center that was near Gramps' workplace so that Gramps could visit Lolo Bob whenever she wanted to. And so me and Mom and Gramps were just doing all our daily lives without Lolo Bob. We were doing our work, we were resting, we were going over here, going some places around Chicago, never really knowing what was going to happen. But then everything changed towards the end of April. On Palm Sunday, we received a call from the rehabilitation center saying that Lolo Bob was rushed back to the hospital. We actually didn't know what happened to Lolo Bob. When we got there, everything happened so fast in a span of a few moments. When we got there, we saw Lolo Bob and his unconscious body. He was barely breathing, and there was this tube coming out of his mouth, and it was pumping out phlegm from his lungs, and I didn't know what to do because it was just sad and horrifying to see Lolo Bob in such a state. Not even 20 minutes later, there was this machine beside Lolo Bob that started beeping a lot, and then a doctor came in and started doing CPR. He immediately started doing CPR, and then a bunch of other doctors and nurses also came in trying to assist. And then a nurse came in and led me, Mom, and Gramps to the family room. Then after another few moments, there came the chaplain, and he started praying with us, praying for Lolo Bob's health and protection and safety. But then, a few moments later, the doctor came in with the news. He said that there was only a 17% chance to save Lolo Bob, even if they were using all of their best equipment. So it was really sad. I was petrified to my core. I didn't know what to do. I thought that this was some sick joke that my mind was giving me. I thought that this was a dream and that I would wake up, but reality was there, and it was just staring me right at me in the face, and I couldn't do anything. Then, a few agonizing moments later, Lolo Bob was confirmed as dead. It was really sad for me, excuse me. So, he was dead, he was gone, and I just tried, sorry. It's just really sad, excuse me. I regretted all my decisions in 2015. I was just too busy with Lolo Bob. I was too busy with all my decisions. I never really spent that much time with them. And I just wish I spent more time with Lolo Bob.
Sorry guys, this is the first time that he's talking about it. We really never had a chance to talk about death. But you know what happened during that time? My mom realized that her insurance of 20,000 was not enough, because when we had to bury Bob, it cost us 12,000, and we had to spend a lot to move her, to like everything. There should be a realization for every Filipino family, or for every family, to discuss these things. We never discussed this, right? When I experienced this, I was chatting with my husband, and I told my husband, what about, when I die, when you die, we don't even have funeral plans. So the moment I got back, I got myself St. Peter plan. Naririnig natin siya, but we really don't, talk about it. So I got myself a St. Peter plan, and my husband was telling me I wanted to be cremated, but my husband said, no, we don't do cremation in their province, so it's different. So we had to really discuss, and it's difficult. And even with my mom, I was already computing for her. Of course, I cannot offer her, sunlight, right? It's different in the US. So she got herself additional policy of $100,000 dollars for the same amount that she got before. Term insurance na yon, but it's $100,000. And I told my mom, if you come back to the Philippines, and kasi she wanted to be buried beside Bob, of course. Meron ng lote daw doon. So if you die in the Philippines, I'd have to ship your body back to the US. So how much will that cost? I had to, make calls again, and nakalagay dun sa website, it would cost around 15 to 20,000 to ship the body back. So sabi ko, ma, that's about 20,000. So, mahal naman, di na lang ko uwi. But these are the things that we refuse to talk about to our families, but it's really very important. Don't wait until you experience Warner's experience, my experience. You just have to be open about it. There's just this possibility. Like just last week, I was telling my son, because my husband and I will be going to Australia next week. And I told my son, JJ, you have to know where the policies are. Nakakatakot, right? We never know. Katulad sa Cambodia, my gosh, babakasyon ka lang. Kaya ngayon, wala na sa bucket list ko si Cambodia. Natakot ako. Please, hindi ko na siya pupuntahan. Ma-accident ako doon. But Australia, Europe, pwede pa yan. Pray lang tayo ng pray. But yeah, please bear with him. This is the first time that he's sharing his experience with you.
Sorry for that one, everybody. So yeah, I was really sad with the passing of Lolo Bob's death. I just cried and cried again after realizing that I won't be spending any more time with him. However, there was nothing we could do about it. Lolo Bob was gone forever. But the problems didn't stop just there. Yeah, the cost of Lolo Bob was enormous because he was a Jew, and since Jews like their funerals to be exquisite or what do you call it, formal or much more expensive, that it was the cost of burying Lolo Bob was around $10,000, which plus another $2,000 for the headstone, which in pesos would cost around 600,000. And so at that time it was like a really large amount. Where is it? Yeah, there. We had to sort out everything. We had to talk with the cemetery because Lolo Bob reserved a plot for when he dies. We had to rearrange and fix up everything because we realized that staying at that apartment would just keep costing too much, and we had to move out. And then when the day of the funeral came, only a handful of Lolo Bob's acquaintances and family members attended. Finally, we were able to move out, and we were able to fix up everything that we had to. And we finally pulled him through at the end, but at what cost? So I want to share 10 things I learned about life and death. Number 1, death is sudden. Eventually, loved ones die and treasures will turn into dust, and this world will cease to exist. While we are still here in the present, though, we have to consider this possibility that we too eventually will die and go to heaven as well. We never knew that Lolo Bob was going to die so soon. We thought that he was going to be recuperating in the hospital for the next few months. And so when he died, it was actually a shock to us because he died on a Palm Sunday, the day we were supposed to be celebrating. It was supposed to be a happy and joyous occasion, but then God just took him away. And I guess that's how life goes. Death never tells us when it's arriving. Number 2, regret kills the soul. I learned my lesson in 2015. I was always either too busy on my phone or with some other work that I never really spent enough time with my grandparents. The only times I spent with them are on my spare time and on my breaks. And when Lolo Bob was gone, I realized that there was no turning back. All those memories I had with them are what was left. And even though I made lots of good memories with them, I still have this heavy feeling in my soul, wondering what I could have done differently. Things lose their value. My Lolo Bob and Gramps had all these items that were precious to them. They had all these cars and pianos. They had these antique collections and statues, and they had all these fancy silverware and jewelry. But when Lolo Bob died, The cars rusted away, the silverware lost their shine, the statues became ugly and deformed, and lots of the paintings just were simply put away. Reason why this happens is because when you die, a lot of your possessions won't be as much as you have measured them, because the only reason why they were as valuable as they were because you were alive and you were there for everyone to enjoy with them with. And it will be a pain for your family to deal with this mess you call valuables if you ever leave them behind. Number 4, too much possession equals less freedom. My Gramps took in 2 pianos and a bunch of other valuables Lolo Bob had at that time, but she's extremely afraid that they would get lost. So that's why she locked the room, afraid that something might happen to those valuables and that may get lost. But my mom just tells Gramps to just let go of everything, because if she keeps on doing this, it's going to drag her down. She's not going to be able to do anything about it, and she's just going to be stuck in her place in life, and she's never going to advance anywhere. There is no such thing as forever. Lolo Bob promised to be there for Gramps forever. He promised to take care and love her. He promised to be there for her always, and he especially promised to drive for her forever. And not even if Gramps wanted to drive, Lolo Bob demanded that he would be the one to serve Gramps, and so he did for the past 12 years that they were together. However, when Lolo Bob died, neither me or Mom were able to drive any of their cars that were in the parking lot, because neither of us knew how to drive. And yeah, I was too young at that time too. So do not promise your family that you will be there forever. You need to prepare them for the inevitable so that they will actually be able to prepare themselves. If there's a will, there's a way. Planning ahead is very important. Lolo Bob got an insurance back in 2015, but that's only because Mom told him the benefits of having insurance. If Mom wasn't an advisor in Sun Life in 2015, then I don't think Lolo Bob would have gotten an insurance. You need to plan out your financial future so that your family will be protected and be safe. My mom has planned out our retirement even at our young ages, and I'm glad it's like that, because at least we can overcome our financial obstacles as our lives go on. Number 7, freedom of time is very important. As much as possible, do not go to an 8 to 5 job. Teach your kids to have a career or job that is actually flexible, because Gramps hated the time that she was not with Lolo Bob in the hospital. She wanted to actually stay there and hold his hand and stay with him by the bedside all day, just with Lolo Bob. In a family, when there is someone who is ill, you should have the freedom of being with your loved one without having the fear of getting fired. Luckily, my mom's boss, Ninang Bo, always allows his staff to work at home, or in this case, wherever there is internet. And my mom was able to stay with Gramps in her time of need. Number 8, time to grieve. This is the last gift you can give your family, and it might as well be the greatest. With insurance, your family will be able to deal and cope with the loss. They will have the money to deal with all the paperwork your death will give them. Mom had been visiting Lolo Bob and Gramps many years ago, but she was not an advisor yet at that time. In 2015, when she attended MDRT, that's only when she advised Lolo Bob and Gramps to get insurance. But since Lolo Bob was old, he didn't exactly get insurance. He only got a limited time insurance worth only $10,000. But since it was a 2-year plan and Lolo Bob died a few months early, Gramps was only able to get $3,000, which was not even enough for the headstone and the funeral. Number 9, insurance is a farewell gift. You must always leave your family with insurance. This way you'll be able to keep your family stable after you die. This way you'll be able to make your family financially secured as their lives go on. Life is all about the experience. I'm saddened with the passing of Lolo Bob, and I really loved him to a point where I wanted him and Gramps to come back home to see my siblings, Jack, Jake, JM, and Jamie, and just to live with us so that we'll be happy together. We'll be living under one roof. And unfortunately, that was never meant to be. This was my most heartbreaking moment in life. And it's really so sad for me to say goodbye to Lolo Bob even now. However, I think that this burden is a task that God has given me, and that I must carry on Lolo Bob's legacy by sharing with all of you my experience. My moments in America were really, really fun, and I spent all of my time there thinking about Lolo Bob this year, and I just hope that this story will encourage you to. I just hope that this message will inspire you, because I know I am not the only person who is saddened by a loved one who has passed. I'm sure there's a lot of people here who grieved at a loved one's death, and I don't want anyone else to experience that anymore, just because someone lacked insurance and the family has to deal with a lot of money problems. The sadness of a passing of a loved one is only amplified by the fact that Lolo Bob and Gramps were not financially prepared. So, thank you all for listening, and I hope my words have inspired you to make sure that everyone you meet is financially secured, not just for them, but for their families too. Thank you very much for listening.